She is the founder of She'll Rise, excuse me. And her topic is recovering from past hurt, showing up successfully in your marriage. Melanie Wilson is the founder of She'll Rise LLC and is a passionate speaker and coach with a bachelor's degree in psychology and a certification in trauma-informed approaches. In addition, she is also a certified CBT practitioner and certified strategic mindset coach. After years of working as an executive coach for corporations, schools, and healthcare organizations, she found herself with an undeniable desire to start something specifically for women. First and foremost, Melanie is a child of God, amen, with a passion for all things women. My sister, having survived trauma, sexual assault, and opioid addiction, and a failed suicide attempt, she has now shifted her focus to creating a safe place to land for women to heal and rise up strong. In addition, Melanie celebrated 25 years of marriage in January 2020. Although the journey has been challenging, with God at the center and the willingness of others, herself and her husband, to show up, dig in, and do the hard work, they have restored their marriage, and it is now thriving as God intended. Can we just give a clap and a pause? Amen. I'm getting encouraged reading the bio. This is key. It's a key area of growth that is seen in her clients as a result of her own journey. In the business industry, she was recognized as a powerful leader, as a master in behavior modification, a trusted partner to ignite sustainable change. However, her past life left a void and a need to prove that could not be satisfied. Once she hit rock bottom, it was then that her life changed, and she broke the chains that were holding her hostage to step into living out her true calling, what God has designed for her life. Now, her primary focus is helping other women to do the same. Ladies, let's please welcome the fabulous, the wonderful Melanie Wilson.
Wow, thank you. All right, can everybody hear me okay? Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. Whew, I'll tell you, when I hear somebody else introduce me, I get a little choked up. It's been a long road to get to where I am right now. And to have the opportunity to speak tonight, this type of platform and pouring into women who are either in marriages or praying over, you know, their circumstance for God to get them ready to receive the one that's intended for them is truly an honor, truly an honor. So we're going to talk about a good bit of stuff tonight. I heard some amazing things from Ebony that really kind of provide a great segue. There's going to be some beautiful overlapping and connecting and, you know, things just being elaborated on. So this is incredibly exciting. So, whew, all right, let me catch myself here. I do apologize in advance if I freeze, because where we live, believe it or not, girls, Wi-Fi is like non-existent. I live in the boonies, so I apologize. All right, let's dig in here. We got a lot of stuff that we're going to cover. What I want to talk about is recovering from past hurt and showing up successfully in your marriage. And we're going to talk about how to do that. So if you are not pouring into and nourishing your relationships, not just your marriage, but friendships and those intimate relationships that God allows us to engage in, whether it is marriage or a significant other, it creates space for complacency. Complacency can lead to boredom. Boredom can lead to the lie of lack. That lie of lack will wreak havoc. So we're going to talk about communication. Communication is such a critical piece. How often have you found yourself incredibly frustrated, maybe even feeling angry because what you said was not received as you had intended it? It's a common occurrence not only in our marriages, but again, in relationships in general. You are certainly not the first to experience this, nor will you be the last. Here are some of the key things when we think about communication. First and foremost, be honest. Even though topics may be difficult, it is important to speak truth in love to him. Don't compromise, but instead speak straight and true. Take responsibility for miscommunication on your end and encourage the same for him. Remember, this is a partnership. It's a beautiful dance. It's about give and take. It's about understanding. It's about grit and grace. Ask questions for clarification, both when you are receiving a message and also when you are sending a message. Quite often, what we're thinking doesn't actually come out very clear, and how that message is received isn't necessarily how we intended it to be received. That leaves the area for misunderstanding. And when someone doesn't meet the expectation, well, now there's an opportunity for conflict, for argument, for disagreement, for placing blame. Don't go to bed angry. Often we hear, don't ever go to bed angry, but I encourage you to be wise. If you need to go to bed so that you can take space to pause and process so that you can come back and respond from a place of love, that's okay. Typically what happens is we are so emotionally driven, we are reactive, we are irrational, we say things we don't mean, and we rush resolution, solution, and it doesn't actually get us to the core of what's going on to really be able to rise up from that. Sometimes we force ourselves to surrender, to give in, but nothing actually gets resolved. And as I go through what we're covering, you're going to see how important it is to be very thorough, be forgiving, but also be willing to stand up and speak up for yourself, for what matters to you. Protect your marriage. Be cautious of who you surround yourself with. Girlfriends that put him down, your spouse or your significant other, or even their own husbands, be very cautious. Remove yourself. Those are not your people. Be very aware of married couples who are not happy and are struggling, and they want to see the same thing take place in your marriage. Ebony had talked about surrounding yourself with women who can lift you up. Girls, find yourself a community of women who represent the types of relationships that you aspire to have, because they can help you, they can encourage you, they can pour into you, they can lift you up until your own strength returns to stand on your own. A lot of times we can be so easily influenced by the wrong information coming into our minds. So be very, very careful about your intake, the people you are surrounding yourself with, the songs that you're listening to, the stuff that's coming over your social media feed, the books that you are reading, the shows that you are watching. Whether or not you are consciously aware, those things are running through the back of your mind, and if you are thinking it, it will manifest itself in a behavior. You will start to compare your marriage. You will start to compare your spouse. You will start to compare yourself. And when I mentioned earlier about that lie of lack, that's when it's going to wreak havoc. Turn off the phones an hour before bedtime and just talk to each other. My husband and I don't even take our phones into our bedroom. We do still have a landline for two reasons. One, I talked about the service out here. You have to stand at the kitchen window in order to get enough service to make a call. So it doesn't do us much good up there anyway. But that's our sacred space. That's time for us to snuggle. That's time for us to connect. That's time for us to pray together, to spend time having conversation where there are no other distractions. When you take that time, ask questions like, What do you need to see more of from me? How can we understand each other better? Is your love tank full, or does it need my attention? Am I meeting your needs? It's so important to feel safe, to have these conversations, because when we act as though these deficiencies, these voids don't exist, girl, I'm telling you, that creates space for the enemy to get in there. And again, using that lie of lack will wreak havoc. Go to your husband first when you were hurting. Go to your husband first when you feel the void. Go to your husband first when you are sad, when you feel like something is missing. If you can't go to your husband for a specific reason, make sure you have wise people around you that can guide you from a place of truth. They can guide you from biblical standards to keep you rooted in truth, to make healthy decisions, to keep you moving forward. Yes, Charlotte, don't take your cell phone to the bedroom. Terrible thing, terrible thing. So one of the things I talked about when it comes to communication is rules for arguing. These are developed to help us communicate effectively, giving each other permission to share authentically what we are feeling and what our needs are. They protect our hearts. They provide structure for accountability. They encourage us to stay united, even as we disagree. If you think being in a marriage, you will never disagree or fight or want to throat punch that guy, you're wrong. It will happen. And these rules of argument are so essential to keep it productive, to keep it healthy. Know your communication style. And there are two I want to talk about tonight: assertive versus aggressive. When you are engaging in a conversation or you are engaging in an argument, if you don't pay attention to and regulate your communication style, you can very easily ignite an unnecessary fire where pride gets in the way, and then it's just a battle. I always joke with my husband that sometimes I feel like we're rams on a mountain just fighting for territory. We hear nothing, we see nothing, we're just butting heads fighting for territory. That's pride. Assertive is when you're saying I. Aggressive is when you are saying you. There can be a balance between the two. And then kind of that lackadaisical, neutral communication style is where you don't speak up. You surrender, not in the healthy sense, but in a way where you throw up your hands and you almost don't care. Whatever they say is fine. You don't want to cause any concern or upset. So balance it between the assertive and the aggressive. With the rules for arguing, here are some things that are in play here, and these are things that I actually encourage my clients to develop as well. No loud voices. Tone is immensely powerful when we are communicating, and certain tones can cause us to shut down, become defensive, and or say things we didn't mean. Think about being a child. Think about being yelled at when voices are loud, how that felt. For me, it upset my stomach. For me, it made my armpits itch. Still happens. For me, it would make my palms sweat. For me, it was a trigger for my anxiety. With the opioid addiction, what it would then do is drive me to take a handful of pills so I could quiet the voices. I thought I had control. I didn't. These are ways that we can control in a healthy way to create structure and accountability for us to engage in disagreements and arguments with our spouse, with our significant other, in a way that we are both united and looking for the same outcome. And that is to grow closer to God, closer to each other. No harsh language, cuss words, name calling. These things are degrading, and we lose focus on what the argument is even about. For me, as soon as a cuss word is said, That's it. I shut down. It makes me feel that I don't have value or worth in the argument. My husband understands that now, and he's very aware of it. And very rarely does he cuss now. And if he does, he will say, oh, babe, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. No past hurts or hang-ups. We agree that we are focusing on the current issue. And in an effort to protect our hearts, old things are not welcome here. And we're going to talk about how to get over past hurts and why that is so important. Typically, when we don't have rules for arguing in place and something triggers a disagreement, it could be something as simple as, I don't eat broccoli, why is there broccoli on my plate? Or it could be something more serious. I saw that gentleman walk by and you were looking at him a little too long. Past hurts can so easily flood into a current misunderstanding, a current disagreement, a current conflict, and all of a sudden it's an attack against the individual. It has nothing to do with the issue. We cannot like a behavior, a choice. It doesn't mean we can't love the person that did it. That's one of the things we need to understand as we process to be able to move through past hurts. Finger pointing, getting in each other's faces, storming off. We need to understand that we can have arguments, conflicts, and disagreements that move us closer to God and to each other. It's an opportunity for us to gain wisdom, to learn, to work together, to investigate and research and resolve. It's an opportunity to be partners in a common goal. It doesn't have to be a personal attack. So when we don't understand the difference between a starvation mindset and a nourished mindset, it's very easy when rules for arguing are not in place that we move over to this place where we are emotionally driven, we are reactive, and we do not have control over how we feel or what we say. We are giving that power and authority over to other people, places, and things. We have the power to choose something different. When you get into a fight, don't just say, I'm sorry. Say what you are sorry for and how you will respond differently next time. You're fine, Valerie. Don't worry about the slides. I use the example of my husband. He's in construction, and the language that is thrown around in that arena is really offensive to me. He has learned that it offends me. He also loves and respects me enough that he is aware of it. So again, if he does cuss, he will immediately say, I am sorry. I didn't mean to say that. I'll pay attention. So he's not just saying he's sorry to appease me. He's actually taking ownership of, responsibility for what he is sorry for so that I can feel very safe in what he's saying. I can trust that what he's saying is true. Effective communication. In order to successfully show up in our marriage, we need to understand the power of communication. How we communicate is where we need to focus our attention because marriage problems often stem from breakdowns in communication. We need to understand and communicate what our needs are. We need to understand and be able to meet the needs of our significant other. We need to move beyond past hurts because they wreak havoc on our rational thinking and ability to communicate from a place of love. We need to establish the rules for arguing. This is what I'm digging into here. It is so valuable because now when you are communicating and there is a misunderstanding, which then leads into an argument, a disagreement, and you have rules for arguing in place, you can say, okay, wait a minute. I accept responsibility for your misunderstanding. I didn't clearly indicate that I needed X, Y, and Z from you. Let's talk about it now. The next time, we'll position ourselves differently to make sure we ask questions to clarify so that we both understand and we're on the same page. We need to show up successfully in and for our marriage because it is a beautiful gift that deserves the best of us. I'd mentioned earlier about the lie of lack and how complacency leads to boredom. If you're not pouring into and nourishing our relationship, we're moving into that space where we take it for granted, that it's always going to be okay, it's always going to be intact. But that lie of lack will wreak havoc. Every marriage at some point will get boring. You're with the same person every single day. Let's be honest. Every couple goes through a boring stage. It's normal and it will fade. But this is the time in your relationship, you have to put in the most effort. The lie of lack convinces us that we are no longer in love with each other. The passion and excitement is gone. We don't like the same things. We don't need or want the same things. Put in the effort. Each of you should have received the love languages quiz. If you didn't get to take it, that's okay. Some of what I'm talking about may sound a little foreign. I would imagine that at some point you've heard reference of love languages. When I talk about putting in the effort, I want to start to tie in the importance of your love language. It is imperative. If you haven't done it, I encourage you within the next 24 hours for both you and your spouse separately, or you and your significant other separately, to do this, to reveal what your love languages are, because I'm telling you, it is a game changer. Part of my process incorporates that, so you know how to leverage it, you know how to tap into it, you know how to use it as it's intended to change you, change your power of influence, and change your relationships, both within your home and outside your home. So put in the effort, make the most of little moments. Big love stories are made up of many small behind the scene moments. Throw in a little surprise here and there that directly feeds their love language. You heard me talk about, disconnecting when you go to bed so you can have authentic conversation. Is your love tank full? What that means is your love language, how you receive love. Am I showing up successfully to supply and nourish and pour into your love tank? If I'm not, I give you permission to help me understand how I can do better. I want to do better. Together, let's move forward. Quality time. Snuggle in close, no distractions, and simply be in each other's presence. It doesn't have to be big and extravagant. And Ebony was talking about, self-care, picking 3 things to do with yourself. When it comes to quality time, it doesn't mean you have to go out on some extravagant date. It doesn't have to be some fancy vacation. For my husband and I, it is he and I sitting on the same cushion of the couch, being close to each other every single night. Now, right now, it's a little bit of a challenge because he's in Florida and I'm here. But quality time is important if that is your love language. Physical touch, reach for him often. Hold his hand, grab his butt, come up behind him and wrap your arms around him. He needs to know that you love him. If physical touch is his primary love language, those little surprises will have a significant impact on his love tank, on his attitude, on his behavior, and even how he shows up for you in his marriage. Now, physical touch is my primary love language. My husband was raised that you don't touch in public. No one really knows that you're together because it's just not what he knew. So I internalized that as I wasn't good enough, that he was embarrassed of me, that I wasn't worthy, I wasn't valued, that there was something wrong with me, that he didn't want to touch me in public. Of course, a lot of things took place. We've been married 25 years. We've been together since I was 15. It's a word problem. You need a calculator, but we've been together a long time. When we did the love languages of 5-6 years ago, it was a game changer. He now knew that he was unintentionally crushing my spirit because he wouldn't reach for me. He would actually shake my hand off, my touch off when I reached for him. He didn't know how important it was to me. Now that he's aware of it, it becomes kind of a fun, playful thing for us. He'll reach over in the car and put his hand on my leg. Does this count? Is this physical touch? And I'll laugh and I'll say, yes, babe, but I need some lip action. Let's make out. Can we do that? Being honest. It was a game changer. It was a pivotal moment in our marriage because all of a sudden, this area that was causing such conflict, such friction and discomfort now became something that was exciting for us to show up successfully, have permission to communicate what our needs were, and know that it was not saying you're not doing it right. It was me saying, this is what I need. This is how you can show up for me. And he could do the same. The rules for arguing were also very powerful in that regard. Acts of service. Make his favorite snack, meal, drink, or dessert without him asking. My husband loves the Reese's eggs, Christmas trees, pumpkins. So every now and then I will grab one and I will write just a quick little Post-it note that says, you are my heart, you are my world, you are my hero. And I will put that on that little gift. And I will tuck it in his underwear drawer, his sock drawer. I will put it within his t-shirts, places that I know he's going to receive it, because that is important to him. It is an act of service, but it is also receiving gifts, which is his secondary love language. Words of affirmation. Fuss over him, both in private and in public. Speak kind, gentle, thoughtful things to him. When he's not around, do that as well, because that is going to get back to him. Really important, because that lie of lack can get in there and it will be detrimental to your marriage. Oh, all right. Talking about getting over past hurts, recovering from past hurts, being able to show up successfully in your marriage. When I talked about communication and being able to have the permission to be authentic, it is critical that you take responsibility for your healing. Get clear on what you need spiritually, mentally, physically, and financial. Those are the 4 journeys in my Rise Up coaching program. And I know that they are the 4 pillars for Linda as well. So God doesn't put us together just because. He does it with purpose and intention. So yes. Okay. When it comes to past hurts, these are some things that are really, really important. Knowing how you and your spouse receive love will help in that regard. As you start to process to heal, making sure that your emotional needs are being met, your love tank is being nourished and poured into, helps us to sustain the effort to keep going. When it comes to past hurts, you have got to make sure that as a result, your boundaries are clearly defined so you can confidently communicate them and consistently uphold what those boundaries are. Part of my boundaries are in my rules for arguing. It's important that my husband understands them so that he can love me, he can respect me, he can honor me. It helps me to feel safe. It helps me to feel protected. It helps me continue to grow and evolve and rise up strong. When unfavorable things occur in our relationships, we don't immediately bounce back. And the pain, scars, and bruises in life are real. And they often really hurt. Don't let someone tell you you shouldn't feel a certain way, even if it's your spouse. Those feelings are real. They are valid because they are yours. When you have been hurt, honor it, spend time with it, allow yourself to process it, because God is going to use that pain for purpose. And I can speak that with unbelievable, unwavering confidence, because I sit before you today knowing He's a keeper of promises, and the pain that I have experienced is now being used for purpose that I never in the flesh could have fathomed. Even if the hurt was unintentional, it doesn't take away the pain. We need to realize that pain is pain. And we, again, I stress, we, you and I are responsible for our healing. We may not have been responsible for the hurt, the pain, the trauma, whatever it was in our past, but the healing is our responsibility. Surround yourself with godly women who encourage you, support you, and lift you up. Just as we need to make sure we're surrounded by good people when it comes to being able to emulate specific components of marriage, and having women who support the kind of wife we want to be, it's also important when it comes to our pain that there are women that can help to carry our burdens, help to carry us until our strength returns. They can cover us in prayer. They can lift us up in prayer when we can't seem to find enough to step out and trust and pray and believe. Trusting God in our unfinishedness is what spirituality is. Philippians 4:13 says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Now, I am constantly rewording scripture, not to be disrespectful, but because I want to take ownership of it. I want to walk the walk, and I want to get up each morning, put on the full armor of God, cover myself in scripture and truth, and that's how I equip myself for the day. Someone was asking about affirmations. This verse is an affirmation for me, and it has become an affirmation because of how I changed the wording. Instead of I can do all things, I say I am doing all things through Christ who strengthens me. When it comes to getting over past hurts, you have got to trust. You have got to have faith, and faith without action is dead. You follow it up with the affirmation, with the truth, with the scripture that says, I am doing all things through Christ who strengthens me. Be cautious when we get uncomfortable. Now, I constantly drive home the message that we have to get uncomfortable because that's where the good stuff is. But here I challenge you. We need to be cautious when we get uncomfortable in this space of unfinishedness, because our focus can so easily shift to our outward appearance and surface solutions so that we can appear okay. If you feel the need to appear okay, I encourage you to evaluate the people you are allowing to be part of your life. Because if they can't honor and respect, encourage, support, and lift you up while you are not okay, you need to make some hard decisions. Healing begins when we recognize our brokenness and see it for what it is. Freedom begins when we understand we can't get past the hurts we'll never get over. The hurt exists. It's not something when we forgive, we forget. It's still there. But because of God's promises, He is using your pain for purpose. He is saying that you will rise. He is saying you will overcome. We can live a life that could potentially even be better than we thought before the hurt as a result of God keeping his promises. This is something I really want you to take away from this. And this is one of those other things like the love languages. That was a game changer for me. Embrace the term up until now. Write that down. Up until now. Up until now, I have been angry. Up until now, I have been hurt. Up until now, I have struggled to trust God. Up until now, I couldn't see hope. Up until now, you fill in the blank. That up until now opens the doors for healing, for possibilities, for opportunities. You can recover without being self-destructive. Acceptance frees us from the cycle of reliving the experience. With acceptance comes the strength to move forward in life as we begin to accept what happened and make the choice to live in spite of the loss and pain. One of the scriptures that it was read at my wedding, and a lot of weddings it is read, 1 Corinthians 13, 1-8. It says, love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with truth. Love always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. What I want you to do, just like I've done in Philippians 4:13, is to remove the word love and insert you and read it again. Read it with power and authority. Read it with conviction. I am patient. I am kind. I do not envy. I do not boast. I am not proud. I am not rude. I am not self-seeking. I am not easily angered. I keep no record of wrongs. I do not delight in evil, but rejoice with truth. I always protect. I always trust. I always hope. I always persevere. Love never fails. It is incredibly powerful for you to take the words in the Bible and give life to them. Take ownership of them, insert you into them so that it becomes part of who you are. Remember who you are and whose you are. Be rooted in truth. Deuteronomy is tattooed on my arm where it says, be strong and courageous. God doesn't say if you feel like it, or maybe you could be, or think about. No, he commands us to be strong and courageous. In order to be strong and courageous, we have to get up. We have to rise up. We have to have faith that is supported and backed up by our actions and our choices. Your marriage is a precious gift. The opportunity to receive the one that God has intended for you is a precious gift. Do not take it for granted, because when you do, when you become complacent, that lie of lack will wreak havoc. When you become complacent and the boredom sets in and the lie of lack is wreaking havoc, communication breaks down. You begin to attack each other. You look for the wrongs. You look for the evil. You look for the acts that are saying we don't love each other anymore. We don't have anything in common. Those are lies that the enemy will use to get in there to put a wedge between your relationship, which eventually can cause destruction. I believe that all marriages can be restored. I've seen it in my own life. I've seen it in my own marriage. It does take two people. both have to be willing to fight for the marriage, to show up successfully, to communicate effectively, to give permission for the other person to speak with authenticity, to ask for what they need, and for us to show up and meet those needs. In the end, understand that you were chosen for this man, and you, my sweet sister, are a powerful influence. You can build him up or tear him down. You can nurture his self-confidence or you can feed his self-doubt. You can balance out his weakness or you can highlight his weaknesses. You can encourage and support him, or you can cause disconnect from your discouragement. You stand by his side. You are the only one that can love him the way God intended. You are significant in his life. Woo! Ebony had talked about having a relationship coach. I'm telling you, I'm also a personal trainer. So when she talked about, when you're serious in the gym, you get a trainer. It is important that we recognize what we don't know and we seek wise counsel to help us challenge our beliefs, to help us grow, get in that uncomfortable zone where it's healthy to expose the good stuff. It's okay to go to couples counseling. It's okay to go to counseling as individuals. Counseling and therapy and coaching is not there simply because you are broken. It is there because you want to be the best version of yourself. It is there because you want to honor the blessings and the gifts that God has given to us. It helps. It doesn't mean you are ending. It doesn't mean you are failing. Sometimes it is the opportunity to learn more, to do better, to fail better, to show up successfully in your marriage. Make sure with your 4 journeys, you're talking about your spirituality. You're talking about your mental health. You have to take care of each other. Make sure physically, and not just in the intimate sexual sense of showing up and being there for each other in a way that only we can do with our spouse, but making sure that you are taking care of your physical body so that you can show up and do what you need to do for yourself and for those you love. Make sure you're talking about money and your financial goals. Have conversations that are authentic so that things can be discussed. Make sure you have date nights. Don't assume your spouse feels loved. Check in. Is your love tank full? I understand your love language is this, or your love languages are this. Can I do better? How can I do better? Encourage that in him too. Most importantly, be kind to each other, love each other, fight for each other. Remember, love is not easy. It's one heck of a ride, but darn it, girl, it is beautiful and it is so worth it. Woo! All right. I think that's what I got. What questions do you have for me? Oh, yeah, go back to that one, Val. Let me grab that real quick. I forgot about that. Do not expect your significant other to meet expectations if you never clearly articulated them. I can remember times where I would be filled with so much anger and rage and resentment because my husband didn't do or say something, but I never told him I needed it. I never asked him to do it. So I was holding him accountable for expectations that he wasn't even aware of. Set your spouse up for success and communicating your boundaries, your rules for arguing, your love languages, your expectations are all ways to do that. Avoid creating space for misunderstandings that ignite conflict, anger, and frustration by increasing your understanding of communication styles for the both of you, as well as your love languages. Okay, I think that's it. Now questions. Who has questions? Who has questions? Yes, God uses pain for purpose. Wow. Wow. Affirmation notes. I have affirmations that I use on a daily basis. Your I am statements are valuable affirmations, but I also want you thinking about believing and manifesting. So when I reworded Philippians 4:13, it's about being present and taking action right now. I am doing, and you're believing in that and manifesting it. So when you come up with affirmations, really look to challenge yourself to believe in and manifest something really, really powerful, because what you think, what you're thinking is what you're living. So how you talk to yourself needs to be kind and generous and gentle and thoughtful for yourself as well as your spouse. That toxic talk equals emotional abandonment. And that, again, that wreaks havoc in you. We need to be aware of that. We need to regulate and be aware of that. Let's see, I saw something about staying united, even when you disagree. Huge, huge. I think what happens in marriages too often is when there's a disagreement, because you don't have clear expectations, you don't understand communication styles, you don't understand love languages, that we create the space where the disagreement is not necessarily about a specific thing. It triggers this domino effect. So all of this past stuff erupts every single time. And that's why taking the time to embrace pain, recognize it for what it is, process your hurts so that you can break free from that is so important, because then you can move into the space where the two of you feel safe. You feel that you have a welcomed permission to be authentic. And that really helps to foster that united front, even when you're in a disagreement. All right. Valerie, you did awesome with the slides. I get to roll and sometimes I forget they're even there. Physical touch. So how many of you were able to either do the love languages quiz prior to this or have experienced it already and are aware of how powerful it is? Again, I encourage you. I know that that was sent out to you. So again, I encourage you to print out 2 copies. You and your boo do them separately and then come together and talk about them. There's also a book called The 5 Love Languages. I would encourage you to get the book, read it together. I would also encourage you to get the book Love Dare and tuck it away. Don't let your spouse know what's going on and work through that, because that's really powerful too. Because of past pain, I shut down when conflict comes up in my current relationships. Okay, so Lauren, I would really love an opportunity to dig into this with you so I could get more of an understanding. But from my field of expertise, from my experience, both personally and professionally, typically when there is a fear of speaking your truth, it is not necessarily fear of the current person you're speaking to, but it's rooted in what was modeled for you, what was taught to you as you were growing up. So at some point, something probably took place in your life where you tried to speak up and you were shut down. You were ridiculed, you were reprimanded, there were consequences. So it made you think that you speaking your truth was not okay. I have a current client who was in an abusive relationship. Her father was an alcoholic, physically and emotionally abusive. Her mother loved her very much, but she was never allowed to speak up. 2 reasons. One, if she attempted to speak up, there was backlash from her father, both physical and emotional abuse. Her mother thought she was protecting her, so she would speak up for her. So basically what she learned is, I should not speak up. My mom speaks up for me. My father doesn't allow me to speak up. So now in her current marriage and with her own children, they are walking all over her. She doesn't know She didn't know. We're moving through that now where she is speaking up. She didn't know that it was okay for her to speak up. So that was something we had to unlearn. She had to reparent herself, and now she's learning healthy ways to stand boldly, courageously, and confidently in who she is and whose she is, so that she can speak her truth. Again, Lauren, I would love to be able to dig into that with you, because it's not a healthy place to be. This is where I would talk about, the self-protecting versus the self-preventing. You not speaking up, you may feel is a way to protect yourself, but you're actually preventing yourself. You're preventing yourself from healing, from overcoming, from growing and evolving and transitioning into a space where you can see that what you have to say matters, that your words have value, and you have the power to influence. And that's a shift that I would love to see you make. Thank you for sharing that. Hopefully a little bit of what I said is helpful. Again, not knowing more information or being able to engage in conversation with you makes it challenging, but hopefully I've said a couple things there. The name of the book, please. So Love Dare is the one that I mentioned. And then the other is The 5 Love Languages. Those are 2 really powerful books for you to get. All right. Let me see if there's anything else. I wish I could see all your faces. Oh, thank you. It's in the comments now. Love Dare and the 5 Love Languages. Yes, yes, yes. Let's see. Yes. Make sure you're aware of the lie of lack. Think about that, even as I would encourage you to go through and do a purge of your social media. Really think about what you're reading, what you're listening to, what you're watching, because that lie of lack is incredibly sneaky. And it can be something as, you're not losing weight as fast as this person, or your house isn't as clean as this person, or your children aren't reaching these benchmarks as quick as this person. So that lie of lack, it's not simply in our marriage, it's in every aspect of our life. So it is really, really powerful, really, really powerful. All right, so I think we've gotten everything that everyone commented on. So a couple of things. My program is a 12-week one-to-one program. It is all online, so it doesn't matter where we are. We can make it happen, but you can schedule a free call to dig into your personal journey. We will see if my program is a good fit, if we are a good fit, and then together we decide what your next best step is. If you want to improve your marriage and increase your ability to show up successfully, let's have a conversation. Lauren, that would be a great opportunity for you and I to dig in a little bit to what you had asked about in the comments. The program is powerful. The changes in the women who choose to invest in themselves, to show up, dig in, and do the hard work are seeing beautiful things take place, both within themselves, within their relationship with Christ, within their marriages, their friendships, their personal and professional circles. Really, really powerful. So you don't necessarily have to be broken to engage in a coaching process. If you want to be better, to do better, to fail better, to learn more, to gain wisdom, those are all beautiful reasons to engage in a coaching process, in a coach that's a good fit for you. And like I said, there's a $200 savings if you just mention this event, winner's circle, all of those good things, I'll remember and be able to offer that discount to you. And then in addition, we do have our online store, 20% off, everything's on sale, no exclusions. And Ebony was talking about, you know, doing things for yourself. And then one of the ladies had asked about affirmations. I would encourage you, I should have grabbed what I have in front of me, to purchase a journal of positivity. The whole idea behind this intimate journal is that you sit down, you grab a few of your favorite things, and you peel back the layers and capture your magic. It becomes a journal of positivity. So when times are tough, that's there to breathe life into you. When you feel overwhelmed, that's there to help calm you. When you feel stressed and anxious or bitter or like you just can't do anymore, this is something that you have created about you and for you. And it's really powerful to read those words when you need to hear the good stuff, because we have to be able to do it for ourselves. Also, there's journal prompts in there which are really helpful. There's a section for you to write love letters to yourself, from yourself. There's some bonus things in the back for goal planning. I also talk about the shit list in there. It's the only cuss word I ever use, but that stands for stuff hindering individual transformation. So a couple additional things that are in it, but it's a super cute journal, intimate, small, cozy. It's a really cool thing to have. So I would encourage you to get that, to really build a reference of positivity that is all about you, and you having to recognize, capture it, celebrate it, document it, so it's there for you to go back to. All right. I think that might be it. Oh, look, there's me. So Instagram, Facebook, get plugged in. Every 3 months or so, I do a 3-day free training where each day I have a core concentration with a live video, opportunities for you to, you'll have manipulatives available, a private group for you to engage in conversation. You can comment on the videos. There's Q&A time, really beneficial. The next one is coming up in November. Let's see what the dates are for that. I do also do annual retreats. Things are a little different this year with COVID and us moving to Florida. So all of that will get posted, but the next free group is November 9th, 10th, and 11th. That'll go up on the announcements. All of that stuff is really powerful. Email me. I'm here. I am here to step into battle with you. I am here to encourage you and lift you up. I will fight the battle with you. I'll stay in those trenches and girl, get you from where you are to where you're called to be. Incredibly honored to be here tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You are welcome. Thank you, thank you. All right, so since I am finished, I get the honor of tossing it back to the very fabulous, amazing complexion, rocking gold mustard all the time, my girl, Linda.
Oh my God, Mel, like, I can't even tell you. This was super, super, super informative and transformational. And I'm over here taking notes, and you really, you can see from the comments that you definitely spoke to us. I tell you, I won't call names, but one of my good sisters in the comments texted me and said, "Would this be recorded? Because I want to watch this with my husband." Okay,
Oh,
so that speaks volumes. So I thank you. I thank you for saying yes. You know, ladies, let's, you know, I know you're watching. Let's see in the comments, you know, how are you feeling? You know, you've listened to Ebony, you've listened to Mel. You know, just share. Let's see here how you're feeling. I see Fee watching all the way from Japan. Okay, she tuned in all the way from Japan. So yes, sis, I see you. So this is really so amazing. I am just super excited that, we get to do this. And, before we get, yes, I see Val just shared your site. And ladies, please go on there and you'll be able to see all the amazing things that Melanie talked about. And I really hope you take advantage of all the offers and things that she shared. And if you do social media, give the speakers a shout out. Whatever resonated with you, like tweet that, IG that, Facebook that, tweet that. So, let's see what is resonating with you. You got their contacts, tag them on those things that they said that really resonated so well with you. I know Valerie is going to bring up one of our sponsors just to give us a little breather. And before we bring up our next speaker, Pastor Nancy, I wouldn't say much because I will come back on and introduce her. Valerie, whenever you're ready, just let me know. So.